Welcome to the sermon debrief for the last Sabbath in August, because today is September 1. I cannot believe it's September already, even though uh, we have been primarily at home. My family's been primarily at home, and even though we have not had church gatherings in the normal sense, I've still been extremely busy, and so that time has just flown by, and I cannot believe it is already September 1. And as we stated as I shared last Sabbath, we're looking to have some sort of in-person, outdoor, smaller gathering with masks and social distancing. September 19th is our goal. But even though this is going to happen, we still believe that no matter what, we need to move in the direction of small groups. We were aware of this need, but we've really discovered this need during this time of COVID. We want to be a church where everyone can connect, whether we're gathering or not gathering. Everyone, no matter who you are, that you can find a place to connect with in our church. And that's not going to happen if we just have a singular gathering on Sabbath. It's not going to happen because of the size of our church. 2,020 members, probably 1,400, 1,500 active members. If we're going to be a place where everyone can connect, we're going to have to come together in smaller companies or smaller gatherings, small groups, in order to make that a reality. In this sermon debrief, though, what I want to talk to you about is kind of how to do that. And I want to do that by telling you a story about the very first small group, official small group that I was a part of. I was a student at Southern Adventist University, and Dr. Derek Morris was preaching. It was one of the first Sabbaths or first Vespers of the new school year, and Dr. Morris was preaching about the prayer of Jabez. You might remember when that book came out. And at the end of this sermon, that was a powerful, inspiring sermon, he invited us to come forward. If you want to be more committed to prayer and to interceding with others, in prayer to God for God to do great things amongst us. And so I got up out of my seat and I went forward, and we were up there, and he prayed over us, and then he said, now I want you to find 2 or 3 other people, even just the people around you, and make a commitment to each other to get together once a week to pray together. And I had gone up there without any of my friends. None of my friends had gone up with me. And so I looked to my right, and there was an individual that I recognized, but I can't say that I knew her name. And there was an individual to my left that I knew a little bit, but not very well. And I turned to the one on my right, and I turned to the one on my left, and I said, so do you guys want to get together? And they kind of looked at me, and they looked at each other, and they said, okay. Little did I know that I was standing between 2 cousins in that moment. But just in that moment, that was the first small group I was a part of. And it was only 3 people. And every week we got together during that school year to pray together, to read together, to support one another. And it was a tremendous blessing. And it was only 3 of us. But it was a small group. And it was a blessing. I guess that's my first point, is that you can start a small group right now. If you know 2 or 3 other people, 4 other people, whatever it may be, you can start a group. A group doesn't have to be a specific size. It doesn't have to be 10, doesn't have to be 12, doesn't have to be 15, doesn't have to be whatever. Where 2 or 3 are gathered, right? We would say 3 because we want to have the accountability of 3 and the connection of 3. But 3 people, you can start a small group. Obviously, if you get too large, 15, 20 people, that could get a little tricky, and I would encourage you either split and have 2 small groups, or when you're together, break up into smaller groups so you can pray together, maybe stay together, and then come back together at the end and share once again. That might be a way to do a larger group. But right now, you might be watching this, or Sabbath, you might have been convicted, like, I need to be a part of a small group. How can I be a part of a small group? Maybe the thing you can do is just contact 2 or 3 friends and say, hey, will you be in a small group with me? And then reach out to us and let us know that you are doing this. Another way you can do it, maybe you're not connected to people in that same way, or you're new to the church. Another way you can do it is you can write to us at spencervillechurch.org/small groups and let us know you'd like to be involved, or let us know you'd like to facilitate, lead a group, and we'll be happy to connect you to others who are in a similar vein and connect you to a small group. There might be some of you that have a lot of friends, a lot of connections in the church, but you know that there are people within the church that have no connections. And so you said, you know what, I'm going to get a few of my friends together, but we also want to have others that we maybe are not connected to join our group. Please let us know about that as well, and we'll connect you to a group also, and we'll connect you to others that are looking for a group as well. The key is to get started. That's the key, is to reach out to us, or on your own start to form a small group. I want you to know that that's what I'm doing. Yes, I'm in a small group. I'm actually in 2 small groups. I'll tell you about both of them. The first is that I am going to have a men's small group. And what I did was I wrote down a list of names, some people, a couple people that I know fairly well and have hung out with a fair bit, and then some other people that I know but I don't hang out with. And then, for instance, one individual that God inspired me to reach out to on Sabbath, or impressed upon me to reach out to on Sabbath, I reached out to that person. They said, yeah, they'd like that. I haven't seen that person probably for 8 months, and I don't think they've probably been to church in over a year. And so I was so excited when they said, hey, yeah, I'd like to be a part of that. That sounds like a good thing. And so I just, as God impressed upon me these names to do, so I wrote down some names and I began to pray over them, and I just began to reach out to those people, and that's going to be my small group. I'm in another small group because my wife was inspired by one of my one of the first sermons I did on small groups just a few weeks back. And it's always great when you inspire your wife or your own family. Then that's a really good sermon. But she reached out to some friends, some other families with children close to our kids' age, and so we're going to be getting together with them so that the kids can have a small group together, and we'll help facilitate it as best as we can. But so that the kids can do a small group together, and so I'm actually going to be in 2 different groups, but that's how they formed. One, my wife reached out to some people with kids our kids' age so that we could have a little community together, and so that our kids could begin to practice and to learn the skills of being in a small group. And the other one is just that I wrote down a list of names and prayed about that list of names, and then based upon the impression God gave me through those prayers, I began to reach out to individuals. You can do it that way. Again, you can go to your own friends. If you're already meeting as a group, you may pray and say, God, who else could we invite to be a part of our group? And again, if you are a single individual or new individual, not as connected within the church, let us know. We can help you connect to a group as well. If you have a specific topic that you want to study and you want to lead a discussion on that, then let us know. And we'll advertise that for you. And like-minded people can say, hey, yeah, I want to be a part of that. I know one person is going to be, I think, looking at the book of Revelation. I know we have a small group already that meets on Tuesday nights, or they did prior to COVID, and they are called the Great Controversy Study, and they study various books in that. We have our prayer meeting, but really it's like a small group, and they're doing the 40 days of prayer, and they're going to be doing some other things on prayer. So we have some things that people, like-minded folk, can get together. We have our Sabbath schools too, that some of those act like small groups in many ways, and are doing the lesson, and you could be connected to those. What we want, though, is everybody in the Spencerville Church to be connected to a smaller group of people within the Spencerville Church, and that ministry and life and support and encouragement and pastoral care all happen within the context of those smaller spiritual communities within the larger church. So pray about it. How does God want you to form a small group? And what group does God want you to be in? Who does God want you to connect with? Pray about that. Ask God to give you wisdom. and then go to spencervillechurch.org/small groups and let us know that you're going to be involved or that you're going to start one. If you've already started one, then sign in. Let us know who it is, because we want to provide you with resources. We want to provide you with little training nuggets every now and then. Like, how do you deal with someone who just dominates the conversation? How do you deal with a person who's very quiet in the group? How do we know what to study? What are some materials that we could use to study? What if we want to focus on an activity? What if we want to focus on an activity? Can we do that? Yes, yes. So think on these things and pray about it and see how God leads you. All right. Have a great day. Love you all. There's my dog. That means I got to go. Bye-bye.